Hi, I'm Brooke Nelson, and I will be presenting a study in Bikram's Yoga College of India versus Evolution Yoga. So first up, we have what is the issue at hand? So the issue in this case revolves around whether copywriting a book also reserves the rights of the practices in the book to the author. So it is essentially asking when a person publishes a book on a novel concept or idea or process that they have come up with, does that also reserve the right to practice that process or that idea only to that person who has copyrighted the book, or is the book kind of a separate entity? That's what this case revolves around. So it asks what rules of law apply next. So the Copyright Act of 1976 does not allow copyright protection for ideas, processes, procedures, concepts, or anything of the like. So in the answer to my last question, it essentially says that no, when you copyright a book, it copyrights only the book. It does not copyright what you've actually said in the book. It does not copyright the practices. So the ideas and the practices are their own separate thing, and those cannot be copyrighted. Section 102 of the Act states that any book that publishes an idea, that idea becomes available to the public immediately, and the public can exploit it in any way they wish. So a person can use that idea and open up their own yoga studio if they would like to. That's an okay thing to do. So by copyrighting the book itself, a person cannot prevent others from implementing the practices within the book. They are only copyrighting the book itself. So a person cannot take a book, copy every word in it, and then send it back out into the world saying it's their own book. They can't do that. But copyrighting the book only copyrights the book itself. So what are the facts of the case? Bikram Choudhury essentially came up with the entire concept of hot yoga, which is a common practice today. He published a book on it, and in it he detailed the practice and he copyrighted the book. By copyrighting the book, he believed that the concepts he outlined in the book were his alone to implement, practice, and make money from. This is untrue, since the law states that the only use for publishing one's book is to teach the ideas in it to others. So if the ideas cannot be freely shared and used, then there's essentially no reason to actually publish the book. So what this case is looking at is whether another person can take the ideas and concepts in a book and put them into practice. So when a yoga studio by the name of Evolution began implementing Bikram Choudhury's hot yoga practice, he wanted them to stop, and he claimed they had no right to use the concept that he had thought up. So Choudhury sued Evolution Yoga under this assumption that he had copyrighted both the book and the processes within the book. So how did the court vote, and are there any follow-up questions? The court ruled in favor of Evolution Yoga. It upheld the notion that copyrighting the written material pertaining to a novel concept does not extend to copyrighting the process itself. This is why Evolution is allowed to continue their hot yoga practice and why other studios have opened since. When an idea or a practice, such as a new form of yoga, is published and put out into the world, the process itself no longer belongs to just one person. It is open to use by anyone who reads the book and wishes to implement it somewhere. And if they want to make money from it, that is okay as well, because the process itself is not copyrighted to one person. So if Choudhury had wanted to keep the idea of hot yoga all to himself, all that he would have had to have done was not publish the book. So by publishing the book, he essentially was inviting the public to come and read it and try out the practice. When someone publishes in a book and puts out into the world something that is a process or a practice, it is essentially inviting people to try it out. So when this was done by Bikram Choudhury, he was essentially inviting people to try out hot yoga. So to then go back and have him say that people are not allowed to try it out because it is his practice and his process he came up with is not fair, is how the court ruled, which makes sense. So it is important to also note that Chowdhury does not, if he's not allowed to have other people just come in and take his book word for word and republish it under their name. That is not how it works. He does still have the rights to the book itself, but he doesn't have exclusive rights to practicing the process of hot yoga. So that is essentially what this case is all about, and thank you for listening.